once the clients and the people in the company see what AI can help them with, they start to embrace it more and more. Even the growers, they're always very, with technology, it's going to control everything. It's a little scary for them. But once they realized, oh, this actually makes my life better, it changes how we do things.
Hello and welcome to the Make It, Move It, Sell It podcast. On this podcast, I talk with company leaders about how they're modernizing the business of making, moving, and selling products. And of course, having fun along the way. I'm your host, Adam Honig, the CEO of Spiro.ai. We make amazing AI software for companies in the supply chain, but we're not talking about that today. Instead, today, we're talking with Keith Bradley, the Vice President of Information Technology at Nature Fresh Farm, which, if you ask me, is probably the best grower of greenhouse tomatoes, bell peppers, and cucumbers that I know of. So super excited to have you here, Keith. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me there, Adam. Happy to be here.
So I'm a big fan of Nature Fresh Farms. Maybe for the listeners, you can kind of give them a little bit more insight as to what you guys are up to.
Yeah. So Nature Fresh Farms, we are a grower of bell peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers. We grow everything we do in the greenhouse. So everything we do is we grow peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, strawberries, all inside of a controlled environment. So it's not the traditional farm, large field. Nope, it's actually an enclosed space under glass growing them. And that takes a lot of technology to control it and make things grow, especially when you get to the size we are, where we control 250 acres of greenhouse all at the same time.
And tell me a little bit about the thinking behind greenhouse. Why is that important for growing these types of products?
Well, it gives you a much more stable, controlled environment. So you can not only control the environment that the crop is in, but you can also grow year-round. So in Canada here now, we get a lot of cold winters. But yet, in December and January, we're still growing product. We're still shipping out strawberries. We're still shipping out cucumbers. So it allows you to grow in locations that a traditional farm couldn't grow.
Gotcha. So a lot of the produce, I feel like, does come imported into the U.S. where I am from, South America or Central America. So this is a way to keep everything more local that way.
Yep, it's a nice treat to have a nice local made bell pepper and stuff like that, and get to enjoy it right within a day or two.
Yeah. And so you're the VP of IT. And I think when most people think about farms, that's like first thing they don't think about is the IT department. Is that pretty common, in the industry?
Yeah, it's always a very common thing when you hear the term farm. You don't think technology, you don't think innovation, you don't think that. First thing that always pops in your head is a kid pushing a little John Deere tractor down the row. And we're no means by not a farm per se, but we're much different than what we are, because basically think of the plants now that we control everything from their irrigation to their lights to everything. So technology is a huge part in allowing us to control it at scale, where without being able to control that, you'd have thousands of people being able to do it. So we just have more technology than you ever can think of some days. I've always did many tours, and people are always amazed at how much technology we have in the greenhouse.
So we have a lot of people in the manufacturing industry who listen to this podcast. And, for those of the folks in the manufacturing business, it's almost like you guys are a manufacturer of these products, but the means that you go about making them is just different than a traditional assembly line or something like that.
Yeah. And if you get to the manufacturing part, we still do a fair bit of what I say similar manufacturing, where we still have to take your bell pepper, we grow a red, a green, and a yellow, and put it into a package. So we still have to build, combine, and make all those. When we take a package of our strawberries, the sweet snaps or cucumbers or peppers, you still have to package and move all those. They don't grow next to each other, so you have to combine all the colors into a package. So we are taking 3 or 4 different products and moving them into one.
Now, I want to talk about the sweet snaps, but I want to talk a little bit more about the technology behind the operation first. So there's a big effort, it seems to me, to make sure that you guys are doing as much automation as possible. And that extends from the growing side to the business side. Is it sort of a common theme across the organization?
Yeah, growing the best bell pepper, tomato, or whatever crop we're growing is always something we've always done. And our owner, Pete Quiring, has always said, technology will help lead us there and help us do better than anything else. Right from the day we started, we've always embraced technology. We were one of the first greenhouses to have a central computer controlling the whole environment, and that's going back almost 25 years now. And before people even thought of things like that. And the main reason that we really dived into it is he felt that technology could help him produce more and save on energy and help the whole process along.
So this is a tech-forward business, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Like right from the very get-go.
Yeah. First day in, we're always there, pushing the edge every day. What's new? How do you do something better? We're always looking to reinvent things, right from how to use the technology to right how to grow a bell pepper.
Gotcha. And so you've been at Nature Fresh Farm for a bit, and you've seen a lot of the change over the years with the technology. What do you think has been the most impactful that you've seen?
The biggest impactful thing that changed it, and it's one of those things that everybody sees it all day, was the start of the smartphones. It now allowed us to let our growers control the greenhouse from anywhere. They didn't have to go to a computer. They didn't have to be at a station. They could be anywhere in the world and help optimize that environment. And it's a neat transition because when we first started on the technology journey, we went from having a grower sitting in the greenhouse, moving things manually and stuff like that, to now having a central computer. And we're now starting to transition away from that, where they have a smartphone, they can be out in the greenhouse, they can do everything, but they're still looking at this phone. Where the next generation is really just starting to hit, where we're letting AI start to make decisions for us, so the grower can just be in the greenhouse and watch and look at his plants instead of having to focus on the day-to-day tasks.
Gotcha. And you said you have 250. How many acreage?
250 acres.
Yeah. So if that's something you have to keep an eye on, that's a lot of acres, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of things and a lot of moving parts to every day.
So what I'm kind of inferring, part of what you were saying is to grow the best product, you really need to control a lot of the inputs, if you will, into them. The soil, the humidity, the water. And so all of that is available to people on their phones now?
Yeah. They can basically control that and change the environment as needed to do it. Even right down to we have shade curtains to shade the crop to take some of the sun away, and even lights to add light if it's a cloudy day. So we basically control to optimize that growth from the moment the plant arrives to us to up to a year later when we remove it. We control that plant because we want to make sure it has every second of its life is meant to be growing and producing that bell pepper tomato.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing that you can get that much information on like each plant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
Super cool.
And we collect a lot of data, a lot of transactional data. We can collect on average about 11 megs per week per plant. And we have about 1.8 million plants at any point in time in our facility.
Wow.
And that's the key to things. We have data, we have information, so you can make a lot of choices, make a lot of good decisions on that information.
It strikes me that, with the changes in the weather patterns that we've been seeing, that this is going to become an especially critical skill for a lot of people in the industry to have, right? I mean, here in the Boston area, it feels like the Pacific Northwest. We're getting tons and tons of rain all the time that we never used to get. And, so I imagine taking this kind of approach to food production is so critical for the world almost, right?
Even when you look at what we can do, like we recycle up to 80% of our water, is up to 90% sometimes, up to, depending on the crop, we recycle that water. So everything the plant takes in doesn't decide it needs that day. We actually recycle right back into our system. So it's not just lost the environment. That's where we really gain the most we can. And we don't really we love to have nice weather. Like it's a nice sunny day here in Leamington. So we really like that. It's great for the plants. It cuts down our costs. We don't have to add lights. But the same token, we can and have the ability to modify no matter what the weather pattern is, no matter what's going on. So it's all computerized controlled, and it's a quick and easy reaction.
So I was just reading about Elon Musk and some of his plans for Mars. So this is the kind of thing that he definitely needs, Keith, to get set up there. I would say he's going to be calling any day now.
Yeah. it was actually neat. A few years back, actually, I was at a conference and we were talking to actually somebody from NASA, and it was one of those conversations. It was funny how similar the tasks we were doing were very similar in that aspect, like, controlling the light, controlling the irrigation. How do you do things? But yeah, we basically have a fully sustained environment, and we just look to take the outside to our advantage. Is it nice outside? We'll use that natural heat. Is it sunny? Use that natural sun. But we can go the exact opposite and turn the lights on and keep those plants growing 24/7 if we need to.
Wow, amazing. Now, you mentioned the millions of plants that you have and the volumes of data that you're collecting from them. So that just says to me artificial intelligence is needed to be dealing with all that. What are you guys doing with AI in the business?
So one of the main things we do with AI is we allow it to optimize our greenhouses. So we allow it to make predictive responses on how to get the greenhouse to the temperature that the grower wants to get to. He wants the plants to get irrigated 5 times today. And it looks at the weather patterns and decides, hey, how do we irrigate to take that optimum method? It looks at, how do I heat? Do I need to open the vents? When do I open the vents? Is the wind on the north side? Oh, I don't want that vent open because the wind's coming that way and it's going to let the cold air in. But it makes those adjustments for them because there's so many variables in what we do that they have to be there to help make that. So AI and inferencing from our past helps us make a better decision for tomorrow.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. But what I'm also hearing is that there's a person there who's basically setting more like the strategic direction for it, right? Like the AI doesn't know what the optimal condition is. That's kind of set by some individual. Is that right?
Yep, and that's what our growers are for. And that was kind of the whole goal of what we wanted to do, is we wanted to let them leave that computer instead of constantly changing all the vents and making all those little changes. We wanted them to be out in the greenhouse to say, I want it to be this today, or I want it to be that tomorrow, or I want it to be more like that, and free up that time for them to be in the greenhouse with it.
And so do you feel like the AI has helped like produce like higher quality or increase yield, or kind of what was the business result from that?
I would say it's helped contribute to the yield and benefit that we get. It allows a human being to go out there and look at what needs to get done, and then allow AI to help make that decision of how to get there. And instead of somebody manipulating in the background on a constant method, it just happens. So I like to look at, we've turned our greenhouse from being a reactive system to a proactive now. So it knows how to change before it happens. And is AI leading to where I think it'll start to make more decisions? Yes. There's all kinds of things happening out there where it'll start to be able to make general decisions. I'd like to get to the point where it's making suggestions based on past criteria. It's making things to eventually make it learn and do a lot of it on its own. But it still comes down to a human that knows that feel and touch of that bell pepper and that tomato.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Now, you guys, as we've discussed, are very technology forward in the way you're doing things. But is it, do you ever have a struggle internally getting technology projects approved? Is that a challenge? You guys are so, this is your DNA, so that's just part of the lifeblood of the organization.
Every department we have our wish list, so we have our hope list. But we're very forward thinking, so our leadership always does usually allow us to do the technologies we need to, especially when it can have a benefit. If we can help increase yield by 0.5%, it's a lot of food that we can produce more. So every time we can think of something new, it's something that helps. And so they understand that, and they understand that not everything works out, but they're there to help us and support us and make sure we're making the right choices.
So we speak with a lot of companies that are like excited about AI. They're excited about, digital transformation, but they have trouble figuring out what to do. So it sounds like getting really strong sponsorship is probably the first goal. If ownership of the business is not committed to it, it's going to be a hard road no matter what.
Yep, that sponsorship is needed. But the other thing that's needed is, I would say, is a small use case. Start small. Don't want to go to the moon first. Let's just get off the ground first. And that was one of the biggest things I like to say we did very well, is we started small. We started with little use cases. How do we optimize event? How do we optimize this? And not looking at how big we get, but just where we come from.
And did you find like it was easy to pick out that first area, or was there a lot of debate for that?
It was something actually more of an internal IT thing that we just kind of started doing. I just kind of said, I think we can do this. And then, we kind of launched it and it's like, oh, well, we like this. Can you do more? And that's how those conversations always start is once the clients and the people in the company see what AI can help them with, they start to embrace it more and more. Even the growers, they're always very, ooh, technology, it's going to control everything. It's a little scary for them. But once they realized, oh, this actually makes my life better, it changes how we do things. Leamington, where I come from, we've had greenhouses in small scales, 3 to 5 acres since I was a child. And going back, talking to other growers, it wasn't uncommon for a Sunday morning, everybody be a family thing or something like that, and clouds would come over, and all the dads would sit up and leave because they had to go to their greenhouse and make all kinds of manual changes to things. That's the joy of what this technology's allowed us to do is they just look up, they hop on their phone, oh, yeah, it's going to do this, and they make the change, and then they're done. So it
Yeah.
allowed change. But that's where, like I said, even the AI starts to make that decision for them and says, oh, it's starting to rain or it's going to rain. I better close events. And those simple things are where we started with our AI journey.
A lot of people are still concerned about how powerful AI can be. I often talk with people and I try to set their expectations that it's amazing technology. It can do all kinds of crazy things. It's not ready to take over the world, But what's your perspective on the state of play in AI
You
today?
know, AI is still something young and new and exciting for everybody. I think it's going to shift and change a lot, but it's gonna help impact how we do things. I think it's not going to change the world, but it's going to change how we do what we do. It's going to make some things easier and some things a lot harder. But I think at the end of the day, it's a product that's going to stick around.
So where, are there things that you would not recommend using AI for today? Is that
Like not using AI today, I say dealing with a lot of things is hard to do. Um, if you want to make a huge decision and you're a small company, you can't do it yet. It's not there. You don't have the infrastructure to do it. So you have to set your goals within what you can do. And that's what we do each day.
Yeah, yeah, that makes total sense. So for companies that are, thinking about AI, they're thinking about digital transformation, your advice is make sure you have sponsorship, keep the scope of the project small, at least initially,
Yeah.
to make sure it has success. Those are the key elements for you.
Yeah. And then for me on my team, one of the biggest things I do is, make sure they're going to have fun with it. If we have
Uh-huh.
fun with it and we enjoy it, it's something that they're going to come back to and they want to do because we need that internal resource. We've picked on the University of Windsor, we've picked on students there, and we've got a couple that are really great and they love what they do. And that makes it easy for them to do what they do each
Nice.
day.
And what kind of things do you do to bring the fun into it? That's awesome.
Just to have fun with what we're doing, we laugh, we talk about what we can do, just having a good time enjoying the technology. A friend of mine once told me when I was in university, he says, if you can find a way to do what you do for free each day and make money off of it, you're going to enjoy your life. So that's what I kind of do. I look for those people, they love playing with computers. They love tinkering. They like to adjust things. One of the things I love to do myself. And that just makes it fun in itself. And when you're excited about it, it makes it so much easier every day.
Right on. Well, I know you guys are currently launching a new product, the Sweet Snap peppers that I had a chance to sample the other day and were excellent.
Uh,
But tell us a little bit about the logistics behind launching a new product like that. I bet there's a lot of IT behind it, making sure that everything works properly.
Yep, there's a lot of, we have our whole R&D section. We even do and look at using more and more AI in our analytics. We actually even have a testing group within our company that has to actually try out. You have to try out to become a tester. You have to pass the
Okay.
tests, and
Th-
that's what we do.
This is a product tester,
Yeah,
like you eat the
yeah,
products.
yeah.
Okay,
We
right.
actually go in,
Okay.
we test the product, we make sure it tastes, which one tastes right, because we can develop different varieties, but what is a consumer like yourself going to like there, Adam? Like, how are you going to like it? So we test, we try, we see, and then we start to get it out there to the public to say, hey, this is really good. This is what you're going to like. Then we start really digging into the technology side of how do we grow it better, how do we market the shelf life? What temperature does it need to be at? We do a lot of R&D into these products before they even hit the shelf, and you get that first taste that, by the sounds of it, you really enjoyed.
And so when you think about, bringing a new product to market like that, is there any advice you would give people as to when you think about let's say the logistics behind it?
The logistics internally of getting something out is, just making sure you kind of know where you want to go. You want to find a segment of the market that is new and interesting and exciting. And then in the background, make sure that you have the development and the sponsorship to take the time to make that right product. We can R&D products, and we've had some out there we've played with for years to get it right before we're ready to release it.
Well, I think the new product, especially being differentiated from other peppers as being, like crunchy and sweet, I think is a great way to go, though.
Yeah.
Definitely, I can see how that's going to fit well into the market.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to just kind of get your opinion on. So you're in Leamington, Ontario, a couple hours from Detroit, not Silicon Valley, and yet you're doing all this AI and IT stuff. Like, how do you find people and to do that in this location?
Yeah. Every company has its challenges with people. You have to do it. But like I said, if you find a team, you cultivate them, you create the right environment, people just kind of always seem to levitate here. We always seem to have it. And I'd like to say that, you find the people that are passionate about it. If you have the passion, I'm always willing to teach you anything you need to know. That's the biggest start for me, is the passion for technology and the passion for what you do. Every company is going to struggle with finding the right person. It's just a matter of finding that right personality and that right passion for what they do, and then encouraging it to grow and making them a part of the company. And our company enjoys being together. We enjoy doing things. We got a company picnic this summer, a Christmas party, stuff like that. We're always looking forward to doing more and more together. So it's a good thing.
And plus you have fun.
Yeah.
So, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Keith, this has been awesome having you on the podcast. Really love learning about all of the AI stuff that you guys are doing, maybe in an industry that people weren't expecting it. Super cool stuff there. So thanks for coming on.
All right. Thank you for having me.
If people wanted to learn more about Nature Fresh Farms, where would you suggest they go?
You can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can also find us at naturefreshfarms.ca.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining us, Keith. As a reminder to our listeners, you can find every episode of the Make It, Move It, Sell It podcast at spiro.ai/podcast. Be sure to subscribe. And I don't know, Keith, do you think maybe people should rate this episode highly or something like that? Maybe they could have their AI come and give us all kinds of extra likes and stuff like that?
I always like the 5-star thing. It always makes me feel good. So, yeah, that'd be great.
Let's get some 5-star reviews, people. Thank you for joining us. And listen, we look forward to speaking to you on the next episode.